Hey everyone, welcome back to my astrology channel. Today we're going to talk about Mars in your 8th house. To understand that, let's first talk about what is Mars. Okay, so what is Mars? You can take Mars as a commander of the universe. So if Sun is the king and Moon is the queen, then Mars is a commander of the universe. So Mars is raw action, it's a warrior. Mars is going to go and get that action done, get that job done via the action. Okay, it doesn't think about the consequences, it just likes to get the job done. So, Mars is also courage, Mars is aggression. So, if you have Mars sitting in the first house, that person may be very aggressive. We're going to talk about more qualities of that, but I wanted you to understand what Mars is. All right. So it's a warrior, it's a commander, it's aggressive. It can get temperamental very easily. By it, the native who has this placement can get aggressive very easily, can get angered very easily. Then they don't know what they're doing with their actions when they get angry, because commander's job, the warrior's job, is basically to go out there and do the war. They don't think who is getting killed, who's getting hurt, whose emotions are at line. So that's kind of like your Mars. Okay, and now let's talk about the 3 different aspects of Mars. Okay, to understand how and what Mars does on the house, we want to understand Mars and then the aspects. So Mars has 3 different aspects. First aspect is going to be on the 4th house from where Mars sits. The second aspect is going to be on the 7th house from where Mars sits. And the third aspect is going to be on the 8th house from where Mars sits. Why does Mars have the 4th aspect? Mars, because it's a warrior, and the 4th house in the Kalpurush Kundali is of the house of the home and the mother. Your homeland, your motherland. It's a house of happiness. So, warriors are supposed to protect your homeland, your motherland. So, Mars has that special aspect that no other planet has, the 4th aspect, to protect its motherland from where it's sitting. The second aspect is on the 7th house from where it's sitting. Every planet has a 7th aspect, and as I always say, it's kind of like give and take. You give and you get. So Mars by nature is a malefic. It's a natural malefic. So if you give that house malefic, you're going to get back malefic many folds. Just like I mentioned in my Jupiter videos, the 7th aspect, if you give it love, you get back love many folds. So that's kind of the 7th aspect, because it's a straight up 100% aspect on it, drishti, because it's the house is right in front of you. You can't miss it. You're going to look at it. So the next aspect is the 8th house. Why do we have the 8th aspect? Why does Mars have it? Well, in the Kalpurush Kundali, Mars rules the 1st and the 8th house. So Mars has a special aspect of watching over his own house. Okay, so 8th house is Scorpio, but whatever sign it's placed, it doesn't matter when Mars is aspecting it, because that's going to be the 8th aspect. No other planet has the 8th aspect. So Mars has the 4th and that 8th aspect separate from all the other planets. Jupiter has the 5, 7, 9. Mars has the 4, 7, and 8. Now the 8th aspect, what does Mars do over there? So 8th is his own house. What do you do when you look at your own house? You're going to try to kill off the enemies of that house. So for instance, let's say that 8th aspect ends up being on the 4th house. Now the 4th house is the house of happiness, as I just mentioned. Now Mars is going to want to kill the enemies of the happiness for that native. So that's good. It may seem not good while it's happening, but at the end of the day, that's what Mars' goal is. So now that you understood what Mars is, what are the aspects, let's go into what Mars does when it sits in your houses. Okay, let's talk about Mars in your 8th house. So, when you have Mars in 8th house, let's understand the 8th house. What is house number 8? So, house number 8 is your transformation house. It's a house of your inheritance. sudden gain, sudden loss. It's a house of occult sciences. It's a house of deep research, under the surface, digging deep. It is all things secret. Okay, so those are the things that are connected with the eighth house. When you take your food in, you excrete your food out, it represents that bottom part as well. So it does represent a lot of those things. Now, let's talk about Mars in your eighth house. When you have Mars in your eighth house, that's where you're going to spend a lot of your energy in. Okay, Mars will require you to spend a lot of that energy. A lot of that can be seen during the Mars Mahadasha, or whenever you have Antardasha within other Mahadashas, or even Parayantardasha. So you'll see a lot of that issues, a lot of those issues happening during that time frame. So let's talk about what kind of issues can you get here. Mars is also, house number 8 is also the house of your in-laws, because it's the family of house 7. So that's house number 2 from 7. So your in-laws, your partner's family. So perhaps you spend a lot of energy dealing with your in-laws. Could be good energy, could be bad energy, depending on whether Mars is malefic or benefic for your chart. Perhaps you're spending a lot of energy in underground work. Maybe you own a foundation repair company. Maybe you are an astrologer. Maybe you're in occult sciences, because you'll be spending your energy over there. Perhaps you're dealing with research work. Maybe you're a detective. Maybe you are a personal detective, I would say. Those kind of things. So you will see house number 8 deals with that. It is also research into anything. So if your job requires research, a surgeon is also, this is also seen, house number 8 will also represent a surgeon as well. So that's where you spend most of your energy, in digging deep, right? So that explains what will happen when Mars is in house number 8. You could be aggressive with your in-laws. Your in-laws may be aggressive towards you. Mars can kind of give you that, again, depending on the beneficness or maleficness of Mars in your entire horoscope. Let's talk about the fourth aspect of the Mars, which is on house 11. What is house 11? House 11 is the house of your higher income, your desires, your achievements, your recognitions, your awards. It is also your older siblings. It is also your father's younger siblings. It is your friend network, your social network, your people that you meet at workplace. It is your BNI group, your networking, etc. You can see that from your house number 11. It's also the area from below your knees all the way to your ankles. Okay, so when Mars is having a fourth aspect on your house 11, it may make you work very hard to get that higher income, to get the recognition that you feel that you deserve, to get the awards. Okay, it may make you work very hard to get that achievement or recognition in your friend network. You may have to work harder than normal to get recognized in your friend circle, etc. Even with your older siblings, you may have to work hard in that relationship. Now, your older siblings, you may not have older siblings. It could also be one of those, because Mars is placing that aspect on your older siblings' house. You may have issues with your father's younger siblings, okay? Or your father's younger siblings may not be there. Some of those things. Now let's talk about the second aspect of Mars, which is on the 7th house from where it sits. In this case, it is on second house. Second house is the family that you grow up with, your values, your traditions, your speech, your mouth, what you put in. So you have to be very careful with this particular placement, just like you have to be very careful when Mars is in your second house, placing that 7th aspect on the 8th house. What you put into your mouth is what's going to come out. And this placement makes it even worse, because Mars is sitting in your 8th house versus sitting in your second house. So whatever you put into your mouth, you got to be careful, because the 8th house deals with the bottom part of your body. So you could face issues with the bottom part of your body if you're not eating right. Your speech is also the same way. The better speech you give to your family, that's the kind of speech they give back to you. Or there may be harsh speech in your family as well. Some people may speak harshly. Um, the other things are wealth. It is going to impact your wealth sitting in that eighth house. So just the wealth, speech, food, those kind of things could be impacted. Growing up, your values, whatever values you're being taught is kind of what you're going to get to retain. The next aspect of Mars is on your third house. What is house third? House third is a house of your hard work. It is a house of your short travel. It is a house of your younger siblings. It is the house of media, communication, information technology, etc. So when Mars is placing an aspect on your third house, it could be somewhat good. Um, there are aspects of it that would be good. So for media, communication, for hard work, you may work very hard um, because Mars is going to make you that hardworking person, right? So it's going to make you hardworking to do that stuff. Where it might impact you is your younger siblings, okay? Because eighth aspect is usually the aspect of transformation. It's the aspect of sudden loss, sudden gain. It's the aspect of um, it's research, it's depth, it's secrets. But above all, it's the aspect that is going to be the most struggle in your life. So perhaps you have to work very, very hard and say you want a media related career and you're going to have to work really hard to get there, but it's going to transform you in the end. Perhaps something to do with your younger siblings that you're facing the most struggle with, but it is going to transform you in the end. So those are the things that you would have to deal with when you have Mars in your eighth house. When you have Mars in your eighth house aspecting your third house. Now, if you have this placement, I would love to hear what you have going on in your life, whether you can resonate with some of these readings for the Mars in eighth house. And we do provide Horoscope consultations, so reach out to us if this is something we can help you with. The link is in the video description. We do provide Hindi and English consultations. And please don't forget to hit subscribe, like, share the video, and thank you so much for watching.